Okay, hey, it's good to see everyone here. You glad to be here? We just got 1 more month of school and we get to get out of Grundy after we graduate, huh? Yeah, of course, yeah, I'm glad about that too. But, you know, if you're anything like me, before you get out of town, you're going to go to like 1 or 10 graduation parties. And if you go to one of those, you probably see one of my favorite party accessories there, beer. Yeah, you know, I'm not going to lie, I like a good beer just like anyone else. But, you know, it's not just beer or any product. There's the stuff you like out there, and there's a crappy fake label imposters trying to cheat some consumers out of their money, and beer's no different. There's this crappy fake label beer out there. I don't know if anybody tried it. It's called Bud Light. I don't know if you ever seen it before. You know, I know some people might disagree with me, someone at that point, but I have personally never tasted a Bud Light and thought, that has a good solid flavor and bite I'm used to in a beer. No, it's always more like, well, what the hell is this? It tastes like sweat. You know? It tastes like water. You know? Of course, if you don't like Bud Light, which you probably don't, you know, Bud makes all these 1,000 different flavors and varieties of beer out there. There's the regular Budweiser, then Bud Light, then the Bud Golden Wheat. I don't even know what's in there. Budweiser Select, which is regular Budweiser, but it costs more. Bud Lime, Bud Lemon, or Grape. I don't know. There's probably 15 flavors I forgot just now. Do you know what flavor of beer that I like beer to have? Beer. You know, I don't like all this. You know how many varieties of Miller there are? There's Miller Lite, Miller High Life, and Miller Genuine Draft. That's it. But out of those 3 brands, Miller Lite has 99% of the market share because they got it right the first time. It's the way a beer should taste. That's just the way it is. But, you know, it's not just the beer that I don't like. It's also just the whole company ethos, the way they set up everything. I'm sure you've heard Budweiser's corporate slogan they have out, "This Bud's for you." You know, even though that phrase just must have been the result of some kind of moment of genius in their marketing this firm, I just don't know what went into the making of this phrase. You can just imagine when they were making this thing. Okay, the consumer has just in their product. Why do we want to tell and make them want to buy it? This Bud, right, the Bud you see on TV in there, this Bud's for you. This Bud's for you. I could come up with that on my own, you know, that's not very original or creative or anything. I love it, put it out there. Oh, one more thing, we need some kind of catchy phrase to make the consumer think of what they can do with their product, what the product can do for them. You're talking about the fact that you can drink it? Well, yeah, I guess they already know you can drink beer. Yeah, that's a little wordy anyway. Something else. Drinkability. It's like, drinkability. Yeah, that's not very good or creative. Just worry words you just said. I'll put it out. Of course, you know, it's not just that's just the whole thing I don't like about Budweiser, but, you know, they always already try to grab enough of the market with all these beers they make poorly, you know, of course, but what isn't Budweiser for making a wine? Does their corporate chart say they can't make a wine? You know, you have to ask yourself what a Budweiser wine would even go with, you know, because every kind of wine out there has its own specialty or what it goes with. Red wine goes with meat and chocolate, for example, and white wine goes with fish. A Budweiser wine would probably go with either a microwave burrito or a piece of beef jerky. That would go along well with their whole image. But, you know, maybe I'm a little hard on Budweiser. That probably wouldn't even be the worst kind of wine that could possibly exist. There's an actual kind of wine out there it's called Yellowtail. I don't know if you've tried it. Now, I don't know what's in there, but I've tasted wine before, and that's not wine. You know, I saw this thing in the store, and I thought I would try it because it's a little interesting. You know, I thought it would taste a little different. I looked at the bottle. It smells good. It must be exotic. I looked at the label on the back. You know, everyone has a label saying what's in it or where it's from. The bottle says something kind of like, you know, this wine has berries which come alive from the valley with a lively mix of you know, it's on the same after a while, so I didn't quite think history lesson, so I opened it for myself some of this stuff, see what it was like. Dude, what the hell is this? It tastes like cadaver sludge or something, you know? It made perfect sense to put a picture of a kangaroo on the bottle there, because yeah, if you took a kangaroo's urine and you mix it with fruit juice and give a horse a bath with it, that was just like what I just tasted. I can complain about alcohol all day, and I probably could, you know. But there's been something else in my mind that's been pissing me off. I don't know if some of you may know. It just goes hand in hand with drinking, my car. You know, some of you may know I happen to drive a Buick, and I do appreciate your condolences on that. I don't know if you knew this, but Buick happens to be an acronym. It happens to stand for Busted Up and Inherently Crappy. Because even when it's new, it's still a Buick. And my car's not even a very good Buick, which really says something. I got it off of a family friend for $500 and it shows. And then 3 or 4 years ago, I don't know, either case is too long. I've had to replace just about everything on there, including the head gasket, tires, fuel lines, basically the entire damn car, you know, but I'm sure everyone here has had something on their car replaced, or you've broken it down before, so I'm not really unique in that regard. But what really sets your car apart? What really makes it ghetto? So part of your bumper is actually held on by one of those plastic shrink tie things. You know, it really is. You know, as bad as it is, how am I going to explain and introduce this thing if I go to work at some firm or the public defender's office and I have to introduce this thing if the senior associate happens to see it? Mr. Miller, is this your car? I'm like, oh no, this isn't my everyday car. I just use it for jury trials. You know, I had 3 years with the jury. They don't think I'm some kind of elite lawyer. They think I'm better than everybody. You know, they see this. They just think I'm some kind of regular guy who's at the same level or even below them. So, you know, that's just for that purpose. Of course, as bad as that might be, it would even be worse if I had to take a date on this thing. Can you imagine how that conversation would go? Like, is this really your car? I'm like, no, this isn't my car at all. I blew my own engine out last week in a race, but I'm just borrowing this. Yeah, because I totally do that. I'm just borrowing this for the time being off of my alcoholic gumball, so I just use it for that time being. Whatever. You know, the thing about Buick is we're no different from Budweiser. They have their own corporate slogan. I actually looked it up because I couldn't find it friendly anywhere. You know what their current corporate slogan is? The class of world class. Which I can see what they're trying to portray, unsuccessfully of course, but do these people really know what the class of the world is right now? I mean, yeah, if you take into account the random acts of violence and the pollution and the crappy economy we've got going on everywhere, then Buick happens to fit into that picture perfectly. You know, so what, you still driving that car? Yeah, can't afford anything better, you know. All the good automakers are in bankruptcy, so whatever. Of course, that's better than our old slogan, take a look at me now. Which not only does that just reek of confidence in their product, but, you know, that would imply that I saw their products, saw that it was a Buick, and then just decided to walk off. Hey, come back to the nose. Okay, I already saw it. You know, I can stand here and whine all day. It's pissing me off about the present. But, you know, as we all know, about a month, a lot of us will graduate and go back to where we came from, where we want to practice. And you can ask different students where they're going, and they'll all say stuff like, well, I'm going back to Texas, where everything's tough, and everything's big and tough. Or I'm going back to North Carolina, home of culture. Me, I'm kind of like, I'm going back to Indiana, and whatever. You know, there's just nothing there. You know, if you've never been to Indiana, or you don't know what I'm talking about, to give you an idea, you can probably look it up on Google Earth sometime with this a collection of satellite images, and you can compare Indiana to the states around it, like Illinois, Ohio. If you look at those states, you can see all the infrastructure and energy going on. If you were to look at Indiana instead, if you could picture a barren wasteland from like the Mad Max movies or something like that, with the random cornfield or meth lab, and sure, that would be just like what you expect Indiana to be like. So if you just can't get, you know, Google Earth or it doesn't do it for you, let me put it another way. As all of you know, you need to pay a certain filing fee to take the bar exam in any state, which that probably closely correlates to the supply and demand of who wants to live and practice there. And Indiana's no different. You know, other states again, North Carolina, for example, is around $800. Virginia's roughly the same. I'm sure Texas is quite a bit. Indiana has $250 for the bar exam there. Yeah, which is It's 2 electric bills, basically, or 4 weeks of groceries. Basically, if you want to take the bar there, whatever. I was wanting to, you know, get some studying for the Indiana bar, so I actually looked it up on the internet. And I actually found out from a few years ago. It surprised me with just one question. I know it's going to be so short. I was like, I think I'm kidding about this. Indiana bar, question 1. Do you really want to practice here? I'm like, yeah. Whatever. Of course, I'm sure Indiana has some state slogan. I didn't look it up, and I don't like it as much as I like Buick, but whatever. I don't know what it is, but it's probably something like, welcome to Indiana. You must be lost. Yeah, Chicago's that way. Whatever. You know, I can literally stand here all day and talk about stuff that pisses me off what's on my mind, but at this point I'm a little spent, so what I'm going to do in a little bit is I'm just going to get back into my Buick. Pray for me on this. And I'm going to go pick up some of that quality Miller Lite. All right.